Welcome back, fret friends, and here we are with the Squier Relic Stratocaster. We're just about to refret this. Now let me explain what I've done before we've got to refretting. What I've done is re-radius the fingerboard using a radius block and coarse-ish sandpaper. I'll show you where we're at with that. Radius beam, 9.5-inch radius. We've gone up and down the guitar neck till we've levelled it completely, smoothed it all off using 240 grit sandpaper. Basically this kind of affair, blah blah blah, sand up and down, blah blah blah, you get how it works. And then we've gone across with 400 grit paper to smooth it all off. Then to clear and clean the slots, we have gone with a fret slotting saw, which this is part of a fret slotting jig I bought from Clive Eastwood over at Beaver Guitars. I bought this quite a while ago. The saw is about the only thing I use. I use Barco mini hacksaw blades. They are slightly thinner than a regular hacksaw blade. They come in the cut or the curve when you cut using these is just about half a millimetre. Well, I say half a millimetre exactly, which is perfect for fret slots. It cuts to a depth of, I believe, I don't know how deep that is, but it's deep enough. I then go with a fret depth gauge, one of these gubbins here. For all different radiuses of fingerboard. You see at the bottom it's got flat. Here it's 7.25 to 9.5. And how we work that is we just place it in the slot, and if the lines disappear, we know the fret slot's deep enough. I've checked all these, they are deep enough. We're all cleaned, they've been resawn. So we are now ready for the refret. The wire I'm going to go with is a wire I really love. It's I buy it from G&W, which is Guitars and Woods out in Portugal. And this is medium. It's Hosco medium. I buy Hosco Japanese stuff because it is 18% nickel silver. It's harder than regular fret wire, but not as hard as stainless. And I've gone with a medium high. The height of the actual fret of this is 1.4 millimeters. The height of a tang, I believe, is 1.6, maybe 2 millimeters. The width of a fret wire is 2.4 millimeters. So it's just round about vintage spec, Fender spec. It's definitely modern Fender spec, probably a little bit thinner. It looks fantastic on Telecasters and Strats, and it's a nice high wire. It gives me more room to adjust later on. When I come to leveling the frets, if I really need to, I could remove quite a bit of material. Always works well for when you've not got a perfectly straight neck, as I didn't on. There is I've got another Chinese Fender, Chinese Modern Player Series Strat over there, and the neck on it was twisted. At the nut end it was twisted that way, and at the bridge end it was twisted that way. And what I had to do, we had to re-radius the whole fingerboard. That always comes in useful when you're re-radiusing a board. Also, to use a slightly higher fret wire, it means you can skim more off the top later. So that's it. I'm ready to do the refret on this guitar. I'm going to do two guitars refrets today. I've also on this, there was a ding in the fingerboard just here. I've gone with my usual trick. I filled it in with some rosewood dust and some CA glue, or super glue as we call it over in England. Put a drop or two in there. Drop some more dust in, let it slightly pride, and when we've sanded it flat, and you can no longer see the ding. Well, you can see where the ding was right there, but it's as smooth as a baby's bottom, as they say. So the fingerboard is now all nice and clean. It's grease free. It's ready for new frets. I'm going to radius the wire. I'm going to radius it to round about an 8-inch radius, so it's slightly more curved than we need it. When we press it in, it's going to flatten out, and it's going to sit in really well. I'm going to use just a dab of glue in the centre of these frets. I'm going to put a load of glue in there because it's not needed. The original frets weren't glued in. They came out quite easily, but I've measured the tang on these, or the fret slot width, and it's nice and tight anyway. So I think we'll get away without using too much glue. I don't want to be spilling glue on down the sides anyway, but I will tape the fingerboard up. So let me get on with taping the fingerboard up. I'll bend the fret wire, I'll get the jig all ready, and I'll come back and I'll show you a little bit more when I'm ready to do the refret. Right, this is a bit of additional video because I'm doing this for more than one guitar, and I am refretting two Strat necks, one a Squier, the other a Fender. They've both got a 9.25 inch radius on the fingerboard. So I'm going to radius or bend the fret wire to slightly. I'm going to bend it tighter than I need to do. I'm going to actually bend it so it's sharp. By that I mean, basically I'm going to bend this to about a 7-inch radius, which means it's going to have more of an arc on there than we need. And when we press them in, it's going to bend them, it's going to press the middle right in and push the sides out slightly. It means they're going to grip better, they're going to go in better. So doing 2 lots of fret wire. Now the fret wire I'm using is Hosco, it's Hosco medium wire. The tang is 0.5 millimetre. The fret height, or the crown height, is 1.4 millimetres, quite high, and the fret width itself is 2.4 millimetres. Perfect for vintage type spec guitars or even modern Fender type Strats and Telecasters. It's not too thin, it's not too thick. This is 18% nickel silver, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it to round about a 7-inch radius. I've already measured it with a radius gauge, and all we're doing is with this, you should get 4 frets from one strip if you do it right. All we're going to do is we're going to place it in the notch groove there, and that's it. And we're going to bend the fret wire. We're going to run it one way, then we're going to turn it round, and we're going to bend it the other way. Again, into the slot there, down and bend. And there you go. That's the fret wire bent to a nice tight 7-inch radius here. Probably even a little bit less. And we'll go with this one again. This is the first one I did. And I'll bend all 6 bits. And what I'll do is with these, I'll just cut the fret wire as and when I need it. I do have a little bit spare in case they run out. But 6 pieces of this should be enough. Very nice. And there you go. That's what we're going to do. I've got 12 strips of this. I'm going to bend the lot. 12 strips should give me 1 piece spare after I've done 2 refrets, just in case I make any mistakes or cut any wrong. I won't cut any wrong. There you go, that's 4 pieces. I've got 2 more pieces to do, and that'll be enough for 1 guitar. Like I say, this little part of the video is going to appear in more than one finished video. If you haven't seen that bit before. So yeah, that's right. I just wanted to include this on both guitars. So there you go, nice and easy. That is fret wire bent for 1 guitar. I will get this all cut to size, and I'll come back and show you another update on whatever guitar it's going to be. I'll show you the update when we're refretting. So this time of year there's no natural light at this time of the day, so we're using artificial light, but I just thought I'd turn the camera on what I'm doing. Here's my fret press with the 9.5-inch coil in there. This is still on the Squier. I've done most of the frets, or half the frets. Can be a fiddly affair, but it's not that difficult to do. I've got a new fret hammer, which I'm using. I check the frets as I put them in, see if we're getting them in level. For the most part, these have gone in completely level, which is good. There's a couple of high bits here, and that's a little bit higher, that bit there. But for the most part, they're pretty level, which means less level. That one's really high there. Just happens sometimes. It's seated well, it's in well. You know, we'll sort that out when we come to leveling later, because I don't want to be pegging the tops of these, but they're going in quite well. So I'm going to show you how I go on with putting the frets in. I stick it on my neck rest there. I've got my block I made. The frets all numbered in there. You can see I'm working from 21 down to 1. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got 7 to go. And I use 5 strips of fret wire. So I've got a spare one there, so that's pretty good news. So how I do it is, well, I had some thin CA glue, or super glue we call it in England, but I mixed it with another glue I bought the other day, and that's really stupidly thick. I didn't realise it was that thick. So I've mixed some in with this, so it's half and half, and it comes out, it's like a semi-jelly. But it's really good because it's still runny. So what I'm doing is I'm just running, I've got a adapter on the end there, and I'm just running in about 8mm from the edge. And I'm going to get no spill out. And I'm just running a bead down that centre there. And I've run it from about here to about there. I'm going to nib in a fret, just there. Get the fret where it needs to be. And I'm just going to tap the edges, just with the plastic side. And then we're going to put it straight on the jig there, line it up, and we're just going to go and press in. like so. Get a little nip down there, a little bit of pressure, turn it round 180 degrees, go again, make sure we're lined up, and give another press in there. We know we've got the fret pressed in properly now. First thing I'll do is I'll take it off for rest and I'll nip the ends off. Straight in the bin on the floor there, turn it round 180 degrees, nip this end off. There you go. Once the end's nipped off, I'll drop my plier, I'll take the hammer, bang it back on there and make sure it's sat in right. That'll be my missus texting there. And there you go, that last one's level with that. A little bit higher there, we'll just give this one a little another tap. And just go back and check the previous frets. We don't have to be absolutely level, that's nice. That's nice now. And I've gone back 3 and they're all level, so we're doing well there. Just going to turn my phone down. Right, I've got to take my wife a minute. So that's it. I'm going to crack on, finish off. We've got a little bit of glue residue there. When we've got some glue residue, like so, we'll just make sure the frets all the way in, and we just come straight away. We can just remove all that excess glue there. And that's it. And I'll show you one more, just for prosperity there. Get it right round. Again, bead of glue. About 6-7 mil inside. Just put a bead of glue in there. Not going all the way to the edge on this. Fret number 6. Tap in the edge. Over to the arbor press. Say the time is not in the refret, the time is in the beveling, leveling and polishing. There's a lot to a fret job. I love doing fret jobs for me. There you go, that's in there. Again, on the bench, remove, nip off the end. If it drops on the floor, so what? I'll pick her up in a second. Nip off the end. On the rest. Just a couple of taps there. And the one behind. Off again, check for level. That's nice. Check back 2 or 3 at a time. And that's it, that's 2 done there. I have got 5 more to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll nip on with them and I'll come back and show you how we are. Well, you know it's going to go absolutely fine. Most of these are level. We've got a couple of eye spots here and there. It's going to be quite easy to sort this one out, I think. Get the glue spillage there, take that off. So as soon as you see it, get rid of it. It means we're not going to clean and mess up later. These have gone in absolutely beautiful. I'll just bring you a little close up there. It's looking wonderful. So I'm going to crack on, get the other 5 done, and when it comes to ready for beveling and leveling, I will come back and give you an update. I'll probably come back and give you a mini update once they're all in, just to show you. So stay tuned, I will be back shortly. And here we are. Squier fingerboard neck refretted. I've got it all clamped up, got my 9.5 inch radius beam clamped to the fingerboard there. Shouldn't need to be clamped too long. Beautiful. Anyway, we've clamped, we've got protected using the neck holder there, or a piece of wood in there, piece of pine in there. I'm only going to clamp this for an hour. Once that's done, we'll be ready for beveling, leveling, crowning and polishing, which will be a job I'll be doing tomorrow. So I've got another one here to do, which I'm going to crack on with shortly, or I'll crack on with that one in the morning. But this is the Squier for now. It's refretted, it's gone in absolutely beautiful. Really pleased with it. We've got no glue spillage anywhere, but I didn't glue right up to the edges anyway. We've got some little gaps because the tang on these is not as long as it was on the old fret. So what I'll do is I'll fill that in with a little tiny bit of, we'll get a little bit of rosewood dust in there. I don't know if you can see there. Just look at the fret slots. I don't think you'll see because I don't think there's enough light. With it being autumn now and getting dark early doors. But them little gaps there, we've got on my finger, between the fingerboard and the neck itself. We'll just get some dust in there, drop some super glue. We'll tidy that up nice. So that's it. Refret done on this. Can't do anything else on it now until I've got it unclamped and blah blah blah. So I will come back with another update shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back, fret friends. Squier neck refret. Now you'll see some marker pen on some of these frets, and all the little blue areas are the areas that are high. So these are the bits I need to attack first and remove a little bit of material, then we can level the whole lot. But you'll also notice there are 1, 2, 3 frets marked in red. Now why are they marked in red, you might ask? Well, I knew you was going to think that at least. They're marked in red because those 3 have to come out. So you're going to ask next, well, why do they have to come out? Well, I'll tell you for why. When I was checking my level of them, they're a bit uneven in places, but some of the edges are springing back up just ever so slightly. It means they've not taken, or they're not glued in perfectly well, or they're bouncing back against the fingerboard underneath. So I'm going to remove them. I'm going to re-radius each fret. Likely I'm going to replace each fret anyway. We're going to put a tighter curve in there, and we're going to glue them in properly. Make sure these edges are right in. It might just be a case of where the tang has gone in an old tang slot and it was a little bit wide. So we're going to make sure the tang goes into a position where it's in a new piece of wood where it gives a better grip. So that's what we're going to do with that. Right, fret friends. Squier refret. You'll notice I've marked up some of these frets. And the ones that are marked in blue, well, the blue shows the areas of where the frets are high, so we need to skim some off there and get them all levelled. But there are also 1, 2, 3 red ones. And when it came to checking these with the fret rocker to find out where they're high and we need adjusting, I noticed 3 of them were lifted up slightly at the edges, and they're springing, ever so slight, but they're springing back. If I press them in, they spring back up. And that is not good enough. We don't need them back, we need them secure. So they're not secure enough, so I'm going to remove those 3 and I'm going to replace them. And the reason they're probably lifted on the edges is, the glue's not taken, but 2, maybe the tang, I'm thinking the tang has gone in an old tang slot where it's quite worn. And what we need to do is when we put new frets in, we need to make the tang go into a new to a fresh piece of wood where it can get a better grip. This is going to old, but it's not gripped so well. So we're going to remove those 3 frets. I'm going to radius to a tighter, slightly tighter radius, and we're going to make sure we get plenty of super glue in there. And we're going to get them glued in, and once they're in, we're going to get it clamped up. So this one's grinding, not so much ground to a hole. I'm going to replace those 3 frets before we can proceed with the work. I'm glad this has happened in a way, because it gets to show that if I come across a problem like this, or I've made a mistake or whatever, I do leave them in. But with something like this, you know, it's just one of the trade-offs when you're doing a refret. Sometimes the frets don't all go in right. And in this case, these 3 haven't come out as well as I would expect. So, like I say, I'm going to get a little bit of heat in there. I'm going to remove them, and we're going to replace all 3. Then we're going to get it, we're going to glue it in well. We're going to get the radius block or radius beam clamped back on there, hold them in just for an hour or 2. And we'll check them again, and if it's all good, which I imagine it should be, we can proceed with the fret level, getting the beveling done and getting the recrowning and polishing done. So I will come back with an update when I have these frets removed and I have the new ones in. So stay tuned, back shortly. Good day, fret friends. I've been away for just about a week. I've had some time off, I've been away. I've come back all refreshed. You may notice that the light is a little bit different in here. That's because we are at the back end of the year where we don't get a lot of daylight anymore. Things will start changing round about coming up to the end of December 21st, 22nd, when we start getting more light in the day. But let's crack on with this Squier refret. And a bit of a surprise, but you'll see there's a few frets missing, and there's a reason for that. The frets didn't go in right and they were springing out, and the reason they were springing out was that the tang was not wide enough. So I've gone and bought some more fret wire, and To start with, there were one big problem fret, but I started tapping them around the edge and they didn't sound right. Well, they didn't sound right. If you lift it up at the ends, you get an echo with them. And I was getting an echo, so I went and bought same fret wire, same brand, Hosco, Japanese, same width, 2.4 mil, height 1.3, 1.4, the same, but the tang is 0.6 millimeter, not 0.5 millimeter. Gives us a little bit more width. So I've gone and bent some more wire, and I'm going to do a partial refret on there, which should solve the problem. I'm also going to completely glue in the frets. My problem, it's my fault, I only glued in the centre, I didn't glue all the way to the edges. And in hindsight, I should have glued all the way to the edges. Or maybe I should have even looked at gluing them in using some, what's the word, some epoxy. I'm actually still thinking I'm going to mix up some epoxy. 30-minute setting time on this. Thinking of mixing up some epoxy, getting that in the grooves and epoxying the frets in. And that is then we'll just clamp down using the beam, clamping beam, radius beam. There you go, 9.5 inch radius. It's going to make things a lot better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to crack on with it right now. Get this one done, get it clamped up, and we'll get it all finished. So stay tuned. Back soon. I've skipped quite a bit here because I've actually done the refret. It's just I've been that busy with other stuff. I've not had time to do any videos, so I've had to skip showing the refret on there. But I've got it in the vise at the moment on the other bench, ready for. We're just about ready to do the crowning of the frets. But what I do is before that is I've got it in this vise here. I'll show you why I've got it in this vise and I'll explain why I've got it in this vise. When we flatten or file the edges of these frets, we always cut into any lacquer that might be there. So what I tend to do is, just to smooth everything off, I would go with a scraper and scrape it all in. Now this doesn't matter because it's a Relic guitar, so there's no big problem with that. But what I've decided to do with this is, just to blend it in a little bit better, I've been going across with a levelling beam, and all we're doing is we're just going across and just matching all this edging in. It's absolutely come out really, really beautiful. And then we'll go with a smooth side, 400 grit there. And I've just gone across just with a little bit of sandpaper, some 400 grit, just to smooth it all off, blah, 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 blah. And it's actually come out beautifully smooth. It's absolutely lovely down this edge. But while I'm on here, I'm going to turn it over now and do the other side, so I'm going to show you how I do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a refret and how it went. I've been using some refretting wire from Hosco and been having a real big problem with it because the tang on it's only 0.5 millimeter and it's not been gripping into the fingerboard that good. Now this has gone great because I bought a different one. I bought one with a wider tang. So the refret's gone brilliant. The frets are in, they're all beveled nicely. I've just got to finish off the levelling and the crown. Well, the levelling's done, I've got to finish off the crowning later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the guitar over and I'm going to finish this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to clamp it in the vise. Seems a little bit proud there, and I'm going to show you how I work this. And I'll feel, and there'll be a little bit of a ridge where the file's just gone in. And what it is, normally I could go with a scraper. You wouldn't do this on a finished guitar. But this being a Relic, he says if you're going to make it look any more Relic, to be even better. So all I'm going to do is just scrape off anywhere we've got a ridge there. There's still a bit of lacquer up this end. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth all this off, and when I get to the edge here where I've got a little bit of a jagged edge just there, just a tiny ridge, just going to scrape into that lacquer. But what I'm going to do is we're going to smooth this all off anyway, and that's feeling rather nice there now. Bit of residue lacquer there. We're going to sand all that anyway. But what I'd do is, if I've got a little ridge here, I can just take the sanding beam, and we're looking to get it's nice and smooth down there now. But what we'll do is, to finish off smoothing of this, we're just going to come across. Now I wouldn't dream of doing this on a guitar with where we need to keep the lacquer intact, but on something like this, where it's relic anyway, It's not going to alter the shape of the neck in any way at all. That is nice now. That's absolutely beautiful. Now what we've done is just soften that a little bit. Now it's still got a fair bit of lacquer there. I would just come into this. And that's as much as I want to do really. And now I'll just take some 240 grit for now. And I'm just going to smooth this off. I'll go with finer paper in a minute. But that's it, that's beautiful. Because we're going to finish off and we're relicking this guitar anyway. Beautiful. Oh, it's really nice and smooth now. And I would take some 400. No need to use all that. I could go on. Let's have a look what we've got down here. Just need to take a piece of 400 to finish it off. What I'm doing is just bringing this edge in. And that's absolutely beautiful now. You can feel nothing down there. It's just super smooth all the way down there. I want you to go really smooth. Could again just go with the beam. And that's it. And these fret edges are absolutely beautiful. Look at them, really nice. So that is now ready to have the frets recrown. What I would do is, to clean this up, I'll take a little bit of white spirit, just a small amount, just clean everything up. And again on this side. We're going to clean all this up anyway, and now I'm ready for crowning the frets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all taped up. And there, if I can find it, my video controller just there, we'll zoom out. And these frets are now ready for recrowning. Got a few flat ones here and there. Beautiful fret wire. I've gone with a medium fret wire. It's 2.4mm wide. It was 1.3 high in the end because I had to go and get some stuff with a wider tang. The tang on it is 0.6mm. It's Hosco fret wire, 18% nickel silver. Nice fret wire. I'm not buying the 0.5mm tang stuff again because I've ended up doing 3 refrets from refrets I've done. So, but this now all super smooth down the edge. Beautiful. If you want to look at the beveling around this edge, down both edges actually, and again this side. I do apologise for the light in this room. It's now dark. Nothing I can do about it. Next few months it's going to be like this. But there you go. These frets are now all ready for recrowning and polishing. I shall do that first thing in the morning, get the guitar back together in the morning, all ready for the owner coming back to pick it up on Friday. Now when he gets here Friday, Bought some new tuners, and these are set for Squier tuners, where he's going to bought some Spurzle tuners, and this hole is further across this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these holes, and I'm going to drill for the new tuners when he gets here. So it's going to be a while you wait job, that one, and I'll have to set the guitar up wires here as well. It's not something I'd normally do. I'd want to get this done in my own time, not while you wait. But on this, I'm going to make an exception for this guy. So I'm going to do it while he waits. So I'll fill these in tomorrow. I'll show you that on video. But in the meantime, let me get this all set up, already on the jig, ready for crowning the frets, and we'll come back and we'll show you all the rest of it tomorrow. So stay tuned, and I will see you soon. Welcome back, fret friends. I've turned my video back on because I've obviously beveled the frets, and I've crowned all this many, but I've got up to fret 14, and 14 seems to be a little bit higher. Now, so I'm going to show you basically how I correct this problem, because the chances are, if I'm removing, I've just removed quite a bit from there to make it level with all these going here, and this one's high again. So what I'm going to do is, this will be fret 12, 13, 14, got fret 14. From fret 15 onwards, right, I'm going to create a tiny bit of fall off, which means you're going to have a slight gradient going slightly down towards this final 21st fret. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to level this fret with all these. I've been across with the fret rocker. Let's get that out of the way. Been across with the fret rocker as I've crowned these, and they're all absolutely level. Take my word for that. Absolutely no rock anywhere, which is brilliant. And we get up to here, and again, no rock anywhere. Fantastic. You're thinking this is all great, we're all level. When you get to this one, it's quite high. So even though I've levelled them, I've still got to take some off the top of here. So the first thing I do is I'm going to get this one level first. And from this one, I'm going to level all this lot again, creating a tiny little bit of fall off. What fall off means is each fret from there onwards is going to get slightly lower right until the end. And I'm talking, there's going to be no distance, I'm talking it's going to be about 0.1 millimetre from that one to that one, going about higher, lower, 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 lower. And we call that a fall off. And that way it means we're going to get no notes ringing out. Now what I'm going to do first and foremost is, you've got to be very, very careful when you do this. I'm working on fret 14. And it's a little bit high. Bit of rock there. What I'm going to do is, stick that there where I can get out of it. I'm going to take a flat file. I'm going to clean it. Always a clean file. So cleaning up the file, as you do, I'll give it a wipe. It's a number 3 file, Swiss file, this one. And all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to skim across the top of this fret. Keep my hand out of the way. And all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to remove that pen, just 3 strokes, and that's that pen all removed. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to get this one fret level. We're going to take a fret rocker, and again, still a bit of rock, still a bit of rock, still a bit of rock. So what we're going to do is again, cut it in. We're going to clean the file, and we're going to remove the pen again. It's all about getting this one fret level, just 3 light strokes here, and we're going to check again. Still a bit of rock. Again, count 12, 13. So not 13, 14, fret 14. You can get, this can worry you sometimes. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to have to do all these again. And yeah, you probably are going to have to do all these again, but don't worry about it. I've got to get the job right. Now, you may think I'm doing a lot of filing there, but I know from experience I need to do that much. Right, we're more or less there. Still got a little bit on this edge here. 12, 13, 14. Still got a little bit there, tiny bit there. I'm now going to take a super fine file, which is like a number 6 file. This is also a crowding file, it's a triangular one. I've just bought this recently. Because I need to remove a little bit of material now, I'm just going to glide this across. It's a really, really fine file. Just a couple of strokes, nothing major. Tiny little bit there. We've now got that fret more or less level. I would say we're just about there with that. Bear with. So a little bit high on that edge. Again, clean the file just on this edge here. And that's it. I will tell you now, that fret is now level. We'll check the subsequent ones. Tiny bit, just a tiny bit higher on that corner there. So from this one, I'm now going to re-level all of these. I'm going to put on a thinnest bit of tape on here. I'm going to use if I can find it, a piece of 6mm painter's tape. It's really, really, this is thin, it's going to make no difference at all to anything. And all I'm going to do is place that over there. We're going to create some fall off from here. And I'm going to take a flat file and I'm just going to level these all off at that end. I will come back to that in a moment because I may not have to do that. It could be a little bit more drastic when I need it to be. Bear with me a second, I'm going to see the message in my phone because it seems urgent. Back to where we were. Yes, I did do this. I put one, this is the thinnest tape. I put one piece of thin tape on fret 14. I then took my levelling beam. I've got a short one, but I just used my long one. And all I did was just gently, just came across these last few frets here. Just a few passes, like so. Still got the tape on there intact, and all we're doing is we're just going from this one fret and we're creating a tiny bit of fall off toward the end of the fingerboard. We're following the fingerboard round and the tapes just fell off there. Well, all we've done is needed to smooth them anyway. So, tape off, keep the finger on that fret so I know which one we've levelled from. This is the one I've just done, so we'll mark that off. Now, I just levelled that one, remember? So what we need to do is check the level of this one. No rock at all. Check the next one, the ones we've just done, we've just created a tiny bit of fall off from that fret, which is 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. From fret 14 up to fret 21, we've created a little bit of fall off where these go progressively a tiny bit lower toward the end. I'm going to check the level of these. These are absolutely fine, no rock anywhere. And that is how we create a little bit of fall off. And that's it. These frets are level all the way across. As I say, take my word for it. Remember the other week someone said to me, why should we take your word for it? Why don't you just show us? I'm thinking when I spend as much time videoing stuff, as I do doing the work, and I ain't got time to do that anymore. Plus I'm not a liar, so when I say take my word for it, I expect you to take my word for it. So that's it, these frets all absolutely bang on. So here we are. I'm going to pen and crown these. Might as well stay tuned. Crown these frets. Once this is done, all that remains to be done to this is I've got to polish the frets. You know how I do that, I do it with various grits of sandpaper. Finish off with steel wool, and then I can get the neck back on, get the guitar set up. I'm not going to film all the polishing. So there we are. That has shown you how we get to the end of the frets and we create a little tiny bit of fall off. What a fall off enables you to do is these will get progressively lower. So when you're soloing up here, you're going to get no ringing out. You always seem to get ringing out around this kind of area, around about here, from between 15 and frets 15 and 10. It seems to be quite prevalent. So that's it. I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to finish crowning. You know how I crown. Crowning file. I'll show you one. And all I'm doing is rolling over and creating that arc. Where the flex spin fret is now flat, I'm going to put that arc back in there. I could do it with a proper file, a file that's got that arc built in, but I prefer to do it by hand. With Crimson Guitars file, I'm getting a thin blue strip of pen down the centre of that line. And once I've done it with that one, I'll go with my new number 6 file, real fine tooth on this one. Smooths the file off, smooths the fret off beautifully. Just rolling over as I do so. That's that. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. And then I'll finish off with this one. I'll go with the 3mm, just a couple of strokes, remove any burrs, and then a 2.5mm. Absolutely beautiful. I'll clean all my files and I'll move on to the next one. I've got 7 more to do, so I'll crack on with that. Come back later, I'll give you an update. And here we are with the frets in, polished. It's not quite finished yet. I've still got the steel wool polish to do, which I'll do with a, we've got a guide that fits over the frets, and we do each individual fret, move it along and just polish with white steel wool. I just wanted to show the fingerboard, finished, refretted, blah blah blah. I don't have time to be doing videos today, to be honest with you, so I am going to just crack on with the work with this. I've got a nut to fit. Where have I put that? This one here. So I'm going to carve the nut. There you go. Graphite nut. Going to carve that, get that on there. It doesn't fit the slot yet. Got to sand it down to make it fit. Because we're going with the black one. I hope it's the right width. It should be. A quick glimpse here. Yeah, that's fine. So we've got a graphite nut there, blah blah blah. I'll sand that down, sand the edge, make that fit the slot. We'll get that fitted, and we'll have that all done this afternoon. So I'm going to come back, I'll show the guitar, I'll get the guitar set up, we'll have it all set up. But what I'm doing is, like I said, I'm going to be replacing my tuners. So once it's set up, I've got the intonation right and everything, I'm going to remove the strings again. I'm going to take the tuners off, and I'm going to fill those holes ready for drilling new holes for Spurzels tomorrow. So that's it. I may come back with an update in a bit. I'm going to come back with an update anyway, show you the guitar completed. So stay tuned and I will be back shortly. Welcome back. And as we get to the final hurdle, I put a screwdriver through my finger. This one, actually. I said it was blunt on the internet, but it's not as blunt as it looks. And what I was doing was I'd glued a nut in there, black nut, not realising I got a flat base nut. This has got a slight curve on it, so it didn't stick properly. So I pushed this in underneath to remove it out. Screwdriver shot through, with my finger behind it like so, and it's gone straight through my finger here. And I've just stopped it bleeding. I've got it strapped up quite tight, but I really can't work with that. So I'm ground to a halt at the moment. I was working, I've got some bone nuts, so at no extra cost I've just fitted a bone nut in there. It's got a curved base, it's a blank, so I've got to cut the grooves in it, but obviously with my finger as it is, I can't cut that nut, or at least I can't do it tonight, not with this. I've also just sprayed the fingerboard with some mineral oil, just colour it up a bit. So basically, we're not far off being finished. What I can do tonight is, and I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to put the guitar back together, get it, you know, and then we can start getting some strings on tomorrow. We can start getting this nut cut, get the grooves cut in the nut, and then Jess can come round and we can look at getting the new tuners in there. I don't know if we're going to get the new tuners done now. I don't know, but I'm not doing anything of any great significance tonight now. I'm just going to tidy this fingerboard up a little bit, and that's as much as I can do. I'll get the neck back on the guitar. I can't put my strings on yet because I've got the nut. So I've got the nut. So the nut, I'm going to wait to do the nut in the morning. So it's ground to a halt. Jez has just been on the phone to me. He says, look, I've offered to, because he's got a rehearsal or he's got a audition or something this week, whatever, or he's recording something. And I said, look, if you need a guitar, just come up and take one of mine. I said, you can take my Les Paul with you or something, or you can take my Kramer, which my Kramer's got a single coil switch on the humbucker there, so he could, and it's a 5-way switch, so he could use that if he needs to get strap tones. So we can borrow that. But it's up to him. I'm going to ring him back in the morning, see where we are. But that's it. I'm going to crack on, do what I can do tonight. Back again soon. Welcome back, friends, and here we are down to the best part of the whole refret procedure. We're polishing the frets. I've done a few already. I'm going to go with fret guards. I'm at this end, I've done 5, and all we do is fret guard. We can bend this to suit, fret guard over, and we just polish the frets with some steel wool. Finest grade steel wool here. It doesn't take long. Once all the sanding polishing's been done, it's absolutely fine. You'll also notice that I have installed a nut. Now the nut I was going to use, I broke it because I tried to release it because I glued it in wrong. The screwdriver then shot off, went through my finger, and I've not seen the nut since. So I've put on a bone nut which I've cut by hand. My finger's alright, by the way. There's a nut. Anyway, I've cut the slots in there using my fret slot spacing rule there. Got about 34.5mm width between all the frets, and they're all spaced evenly. Use my Hosco nut files, 10 to 46 grade there. My finger's alright, by the way. I had ordered it yesterday, but it's alright now. I had it taped up overnight, glued over, and it's actually alright. So I'm going to carry on with doing these frets, show you how they come out. But we're just getting near the end now of this whole refret setup. Jez is coming in 2 hours time to pick up this guitar. So all I've got to do is finish polishing these frets, and there's 2 I've just polished here. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Finish polishing these frets, get some strings on, cut the nut, get it tuned in and set up. So that's it. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'll come back when I'm done and show you how we ended up. Right, finished polishing the frets. Just want to give a quick show of the frets before I get the strings on. And there you go. Absolutely beautiful. Highly polished, beautiful and smooth, beautifully crowned. Complete refret. Nice new bone nut on there. I've not cut the slots to depth yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some strings on, check the depth. If we need to go lower, you can zoom into that, have a look if you want. I think we're going to cut the slots a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get that done, get the strings on, get that done. I'll do it while the strings are on, and once that's done, I'll take the strings to the side, and what we'll do is I'll finish grinding off the top of that nut. We'll file the top, smooth it all off, get it all highly polished, get the guitar set up, in tune, intonation done, everything. Not be polishing the bridge or anything because we need to keep that relic look. And the guitar will be good to go round about in about an hour, I would imagine. So going to crack on with that. Come back with a final show about an hour's time. A little bit more additional while we're here. As you can see, I'm putting the strings on. I do a lot of things all in one go when I'm doing this. When I put the string on, I'm also cutting the grooves in the nut, or slots in the nut, and I'm also checking the intonation. And if I need to move a saddle, I'm moving my saddle all at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll be tuning the strings in. I've already cut the slots on these two. Intonation's bang on. A string. Bang on. D string. Little bit flat. So all we do is move the saddle away slightly. Tune in. Intonation's fine, and then I check the height of the string above. Still a tiny bit high. All we do is take the relevant file, 2 sizes on each file. You do 1st and 4th, 2nd and 5th, 3rd and 6th string. This being the 3rd string, sorry, 4th string. With this one you do 1 and 4, so you've got a 10 and you've got a 26. We'll just take the 26, we angle it slightly backwards, and we just take a little, just a little. I'll be quite happy with that. I know that's going to be good. D, D, A, E. Don't want to forget a ring here. Tiny little ring. The thing is, we've got the neck dead straight. I've not put any relief in it yet. We'll get that little ring. It's absolutely fine. That'll go once I put some relief in the neck. So we've gone as low as we need to go there. Again, coming in. Just snip the string. Bend that. I've got 3 more to do. Once all these are done, I will file the top of the nut so the strings sit half in and half out. The nut will then be set. This one, for instance, now I'll go with the 6th and 3rd string, so 646, 3rd string 17. I already know that's high, so I can already come in here and start carving into that. Not too far. Just check my eye. Not gone too far there. I know I've not gone too far, but that'll be fine for now. I'll get the string on. I'll come back. I'll do the same again. Get the string on. Tighten it to pitch. Check the height of the slot. Check the intonation at the 12th fret. Get all that done, and we'll move on to the next. Get all these done, and I'll come back and show you where we are. Welcome back, and here we are. The guitar is all done. I do actually have to grind that nut, the top off that nut down a bit. I've cut the slots to the right depth, but Jez is on his way. He could be here any second now, so it's something I can do while he's here. The guitar has been set up. The intonation wasn't bad anyway. Only 3 strings needed the intonation setting. I've set the radius on the bridge, set the action at the 12th fret. I've set the relief in the neck. The nut has been cut. The guitar has had a complete refret. If you want to pause that and just have a quick look there, the frets have all been obviously recrowned and polished. The guitar plays beautiful. It sounds nice. So absolutely beautiful. It's been a really nice project, this one. What I did want to do, we were going to change these tuners out for Spurzels, but with my injury in that yesterday, I didn't have time. Also, we were going for a black nut, but I damaged the nut that was supposed to go on there yesterday when I also put a screwdriver through my finger. I managed to soldier on it and work. Finger is sore, but it's okay. We have put a brand new bone nut on there. I've carved that by hand. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Jez to arrive, I'm going to just slacken the strings off, and I'm going to just carve over that knot, just flatten it out at the top, reshape it, just so it looks a bit neater and the strings aren't sitting. Because if you see here, you'll see that the strings are sitting inside the slots. If you just want to pause there, and we need those to be sitting more or less at the top. You might have heard me just bang the table there with the guitar. That's not a problem. The table is covered in a rubber matting, 6mm thick rubber matting. Also, it's a relic guitar, and just as if you want to relic it a bit more, do so. I haven't. I've left a couple of scratches in my fingerboard, which I normally take out, but I haven't relicked it anymore. But it looks fine as it is. Beautiful guitar, beautiful weight. I know some people are going to balk at this being a Squier Stratocaster, saying, why would you relic and upgrade that and spend all that money on that? Well, let me tell you something. It's a very, very fine guitar. Look at that piece of rosewood on that fingerboard. The new ones have got a crappy little piece of veneer on them. These have got a good thick piece of rosewood. Nice maple neck. These are a wonderful guitar. It's got upgrade pickups going in. Maybe upgrade electrics. I don't know about that, but I know it's got a new scratch plate and pickups going in there. And yeah, I understand why some people would say, why spend all that money on a Squier? But the good thing about spending all that money on a Squier is it's worth it. To me, it is worth it. But at the end of the day, if you change your mind halfway through, you can scrap the idea and you can send your stuff back, or you can sell your stuff for more or less the price you got it. But at the end of the day, the most expensive thing on here was the refret, but it's got a good refret that's going to last him years. So that's it. This project is more or less done. I'm going to wrap the video up here. Even though I'd like to have got that nut done, but because Jez is coming early, he didn't tell me about it. He just rung me, says on the way. Not supposed to be here for another hour and a half yet. I like people to stick to the times, but it's no big deal. He's on his way. The guitar is ready, so I'm going to crack on. But for this project, it's been a fun project. I've enjoyed doing it. You know, hopefully the customer is going to be happy when he gets hold on it, and that's that. So this project is wound up now. So until the next project, as always, be good to each other, and I will see you soon.